my name is Alex, and I'm an upcoming senior. And what is your name?
I'm Alex. I'm a electrical electronic engineer.
And what does a typical day look like for you?
A typical day for me is, I come into the office, make my coffee, and I usually start the first half of the day with troubleshooting. And since we are a manufacturing company, we
Yeah,
I do go around the floor and see what problems our manufacturers have, and so I go around the office and see what people need and what's not working for them.
yeah,
Um, And aside from that, my own work, I do a lot of repairs and stuff. So I do a lot of troubleshooting in the morning. I typically do that the first half of my day, and around midday, I have meetings with the management, and we pretty much discuss solutions and whatnot.
yeah,
And then the second half of the day is me pretty much consists of me designing stuff or making designing those solutions so we can implement them within the next week or so.
yeah. Okay.
So that's a typical day for me.
And what kind of decisions do electronic engineers typically make during a project?
We have to decide, how much power we're using. Um, what else? Let's see. We have to decide, if we're designing something for a customer to use, then we want to design. We have to think about what makes them, what they want. So we have to
Yeah,
decide, what what sort of if it's something they're going to be interfacing with, we want to see if it's something that's easy to use, stuff like that.
yeah,
And we also want to make sure things are responsive. So we want to look at speed. How we work with microprocessors and stuff. So we want to make sure things are responsive and things are working on a timely manner. So we want to make sure the system doesn't get stuck, and we want to look at problems that could potentially arise in the field. So we want to make sure we cover different scenarios that the user, maybe mistakes that the user might make. We want to be able to cover those scenarios.
yeah. And what part of your job do you enjoy the most?
I I'd say probably when I come across problems and I solve them. I think
Yeah,
it's always nice when you come across a problem and it's actually challenging, and when it teaches you something. So I think
yeah,
anytime there's a problem, there's obviously some stress that comes with it because you need to solve it, but um, there hasn't been a problem that we haven't solved, right?
yeah,
There's always a solution of some sort, and that's the thing I really enjoy is there's always a solution and there's always a lesson, right?
yeah,
And even if even if something fails, there's always a lesson involved with it.
yeah, for sure. How much math do you use in your job and what kind?
I don't use too much math, but we use so we use basic multiplication and whatnot for on a regular day basis. I'd say
Yeah,
we use KCL, KVL, just basic little multiplication formulas, division, all that good stuff, and then eventually, when we're doing research and development, we have to make models of things. So that requires us, that's more non-linear. So that's going to require us to do more calculus and whatnot.
yeah. Um, Beyond math, what qualities make someone a great electronics engineer?
I think just being able to ask the right questions and just being curious about what you're learning and what you're working on. I think just having I think just really indulging into the project is,
Yeah,
is 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 a good quality, and yeah, just being organized,
yeah, for sure.
being able to look at things and write things down and actually take data. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
it's a really important skill to have because it's easy to you got to make your decisions based off the numbers. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure.
It's good to make all these charts and stuff and you know being able to just visualize what quantify the problem as much as possible.
Yeah. And how do you make sure your designs are reliable and meet industry standards or safety regulations?
I think by designing a good test procedure, I think the more problems you can think of and recreate, on your end, on the designer's end, and the more testing you can do, that's gonna, that's gonna introduce all the different scenarios that you'd approach in the field and whatnot. So
Yeah,
you want to introduce those while you're designing and testing, so that way you can, you know, fi- you can face those problems before they go to the customer or before they're being consumed.
Yeah, for sure. And who do you usually work with on a project? Like what type of other engineers or software developers?
I work with software developers and other electrical engineers.
Nice.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Who do you usually work with on a project? Like other engineers, technicians, or software developers?
Oh yeah, so I'll work with other engineers to we usually have people of different disciplines, so we like to spread the work out that way, and we
Yeah.
also want to work with technicians to see you know what's easy to build, and what's the best way to design this, right? When we're designing something, we want to make sure it's something that can be built in most in an easy way, right? Something
Yeah.
that's practical.
And how do you coordinate with manufacturing or testing teams once the design is ready to be built or deployed?
So yeah, I take. Let's see. So I usually take the manufacturing team, and we usually address that we're going to make a change.
Yeah.
We give them time to prepare for it, and yeah, we'll take them and we'll walk them through the procedure, and then we have them do it and give us feedback on how that went, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a new process being introduced, we walk it through them, we walk it through with them, and then they form it and they give us feedback on how that went and stuff. So we kind of just take that step by step.
And is there anything you wish you had told yourself when you were in high school or early college about this field?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. So I think probably I wish I would have been more curious about the subject earlier. So I wish I would have been more exposed, talk to more people when I was younger.
Yeah.
There was definitely when you're starting school and stuff, there's a lot of people. You have all the professors and faculty and stuff. So I wish I would have joined more clubs, talked to more people, made more connections.
Yeah.
Because that would have probably introduced different opportunities to learn. So I probably would have got different internships and whatnot, and been exposed more to the field early on. And maybe they would have given me ideas for projects, or maybe even just asking people if they want to collaborate on a project outside of our schoolwork.
Yeah, for sure.
Bringing it more into our hobbies.
Yeah. This is the end of the conversation. Thank you for your help.
Of course.
Uh,
Thanks for reaching out.